Hi, I've got some news for you. This Tuesday night in Australia, on SBS Insight program at 8:30 p.m., there's going to be an episode called Sex Recession? Question mark. And questioning, is there a sex recession? Are people having less sex? Are they not? And there's going to be a wide range of ages and genders there. And a couple who came to the May Making Love Retreat in 2024 have been invited to be on this in this episode, Tess and Craig. And the nice news is also that their daughter has been invited there too. So there's going to be some interesting discussion. And I did a pre-interview with them last weekend, which I'm going to share with you now, following some of the themes that came up in the episode. So these will be six people now who've been invited onto Insight program from the Making Love Retreat, who have attended the Making Love Retreat. There's myself with Con and Julie in March 2023, and that episode was called Midlife Sexual Awakenings. And then Natalie, who came on in a couple of months after that, in April, May as well, and now Tess and Craig. So someone told me that that was a huge compliment, and I'll take that. I just am so thrilled that SBS is exposing and giving voice to many people on this topic. So interesting what came out of it. So I'm looking forward to watching it, and I'd like to invite you to come and watch or listen to the audio here on that interview that I did with Tess and Craig.
I think, I've said this to you before, is for us, it's so important to be able to share something that has made such an incredible impact on our lives personally, but also in our marriage.
Mm.
Yeah, we can't believe the difference between 2, 3 years ago and where we are now. Massive difference. And yeah, we're just grateful. So if we can share the message, it feels good to be able to share the message. And so thanks for the opportunity.
You're
Yeah.
so welcome. You're so
Yeah.
welcome.
Mm,
Yeah, look, I'm thrilled that SBS has approached you, that they're talking about these subjects. I think it's
mm,
fantastic.
mm, mm.
So could you just start just by introducing yourselves a little bit, who you are, where you live, few little things.
Sure. So I'm Craig, and I'll let Tess introduce herself in a second. We have been in Australia for 26 years now and married since God knows when, 94, long time ago.
Mm.
Basically met first day at university and have been together since then. A couple of kids that we chased out of house a few years ago, and they went off to Melbourne with us planning what our lives were going to be later on. And we ended up on the Gold Coast now 3 years ago from Brisbane. And we're very fortunate to be introduced and meet you now, almost 2.5, almost heading towards 3 years ago, Janet. And
Mm.
that's
Yeah, well, Craig introduced me. I'm married to Craig. I'm Tess. And my story is pretty much the same as Craig. So, yeah, I don't actually know what else to say about me. So
Yeah,
that's us.
yeah. Well, you're two beautiful people. That's what I know. And
Oh, thanks, Janet.
yeah, and it was May 2024 was
that's
the
right.
retreat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, beautiful.
That was the best May in our married lives since the day we got married, because that was our 30th wedding anniversary that brought us to the Making Love retreat. And yeah, things changed from that May. I feel like it's wedding anniversary now every day. After that, it's just been wonderful.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
beautiful.
yeah.
Yeah.
Best gift we could have given ourselves is to come on the retreat.
Yeah, I guess just on that subject, like what are the things that you've really noticed yourself personally that really shifted and changed from before to after? And now it is, just over 2 years ago now.
Mm,
And I think that's what holds up, what happens after a retreat.
Yeah.
And I think that does require commitment as well from a couple, from you. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Do you want to
the
talk to
before and after,
Yeah.
and
Before and after.
since.
Yeah, I think, we had a chat yesterday evening and asked each other a few questions, but I think the most important thing is a couple of years down the track now, Janet, for me, there's just no evidence or latent stress around an event of making love.
Yeah.
It's become, and we say this on the TV interview as well, that for me, it's now about intimacy and connection, and every day appreciating that connection in whatever form it may take. And I think before I learned over 5 or 6 days with you, there was never a conversation around making love or sexual connection. It's one of those things that you just kind of assume to know, and how the devil you learn it, who knows? And clearly we learnt it wrong, because it took us 30 years of being married together to learn what intimacy is truly about. And now that appreciation every day, and I know Tess says, not jokingly, but she often asks every day, so what amazing things are you going to experience or do today in a form like that? But I think it's really true. It's appreciating how you appreciate each other and connect each other, whether that be physical or just connection of talking, and it just takes that whole stress of an event away of when are we going to make love? How are we going to find the time? How are we going to connect? It just dissipates completely. And as we spoke last night, it's now just about just be present and be aware and be connected. And if the opportunity is there, we kind of intuitively now, after 2 years, kind of know. It's like, sure, let's get together.
Yeah.
But that you just don't realize, or I certainly didn't realize, that there was this latent stress at the back. I didn't know what to call it or what it was, but there was a latent stress around when are we going to be able to make love? How are we going to connect?
Yeah.
Whereas now that is no longer. I've learned past that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Wow. That's
Yeah.
lovely. And that tension creates a lot of ricocheting effects on all aspects of every relationship. Yeah. So that's beautiful. Takes a lot of stress out of it.
It's always nice to hear Craig talk about our sex life now. Can actually have a conversation. And before, I found it hard to even say the word sex.
Wow.
If I mentioned it, it meant that I would have to pay it attention. So it is a complete opposite 180 degree for me at the moment. I want to talk about sex. I want to make love. I want to be with Craig. I feel like a completely different woman because suddenly we've discovered a way of making love through the Making Love Retreat approach that you teach that works so beautifully for both of us. There's no stress involved. It is about de-stressing, about relaxing, and just being completely present with one another and spending the time. And as you were saying, it's about actually committing to that as a practice for us. So, and Craig said it so beautifully as well, is it's an intuitive, it's an attraction, it's magnetic between us. And that is not just in the bedroom, it is when we're sitting here together, it's just there. And it truly, truly feels for me that the changes for me personally are so profound. The calmness that I feel in my body and in my mind, the things that I previously attributed to the menopausal symptoms, not being able to handle stress very well, and which is something I discovered through, the last maybe 10 years or so, is like stress. I really couldn't handle it too well. And, with kids and busyness and teenagers when the kids were busy. So life got past us, but we we're just always in that stressed state. And we didn't know how stressed we were until the after the making love retreat and being able to connect with one another. We're just such a team now. Everything feels so easy. Everything feels so calm.
Yeah.
And yeah, Janet, I just feel like a completely different woman. I feel like a woman.
Yes.
I feel very whole.
Mm.
And I feel what we have now is truly what a marriage, in my mind, was always supposed to look like.
Yeah.
I think that when we got married, we both, I guess, have that, you have an idea of what your marriage would be like. And of course, the love is always there. The love never went away, but the sex went away.
Yeah.
And to now have that missing part back in our marriage, in our togetherness, I will never underplay the importance of our intimate connection ever again, because I now know exactly how important that is, to feel this incredible magnetic connection with Craig, and also to feel myself just feeling like I've blossomed into the person that I really, really love. And I love being all women. It's
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Beautiful.
So
Yeah.
in a nutshell, it's awesome.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful to hear. And I just love what you say, like the knock-on effects and how much stress does play into our lives. And like you say, it's hard to know what to do with that. And there's all these, things you can do, but to be able to actually turn towards each other and allow that relaxation, that approach, it's just stunning, really, the effect that it can have on the nervous system and have on your brain, have on the whole body. And
Everything changes, I think.
yeah,
Has such
it's like everything falls back into place. That's
yes,
like,
yes.
oh, it was all here. We didn't know it, but now it's all here.
Yeah. It really feels like this alignment.
Yeah.
And for me as a menopausal woman, I'm just in that transition stage. Probably through, but one never knows. For me, every little bit of calmness that I can bring to my body, slowness that I can bring to my body, clarity that I can bring to my mind is a win. And for me, this connection that we now have through our intimate life really facilitates that for me. It's like a miracle.
Yeah.
And we don't really talk about other, I don't know what other couples experience, but for us and for me specifically, as someone who's going through that menopausal transition, it has been nothing but absolutely mind-blowingly amazing.
Beautiful.
So thanks, Janet.
You're welcome. And it's so inspiring, to hear you. And it's it's just wonderful for other people to hear as well, the possibilities, because it is an area that's fraught with so much disappointment and hurt and everything. So and I love what you said, that the love is still there, and that's what I find with most couples, or usually the love is there. It's like, but how can we relax the body? How can we uncover so that we discover that or rediscover that again, which is just so precious, isn't it? Yeah. So
absolutely. I've always found that, one can always look back now, and I almost want to cry for I grieve in a way for the years that we didn't know how to overcome or fix or remedy the situation that we found ourselves in. It's sad to think back on those days and think how easy because it's so easy to have, how easy it would have been to remedy our situation, and be able to connect in a way that would affect the way that we come through raising kids, through the difficulties of parenthood, the difficulties of migration, the difficulties of, life.
Yeah. Yes.
And this is what we find now, because we're such a connected team. We love being together. We enjoy one another's company. We feel like we can do anything. We really feel like we're completely invincible as a couple, And this for us really sets us up for a future that is so, so bright and yeah, everything just feels so wonderful. I feel like I don't have enough words to explain because I get emotional about it. That change.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. Thank you. And that has such a knock-on effect with your family and people around you. And
it does.
Yeah.
It does.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah, and I don't think you can underestimate the impact that you do have on people around you, I think, Janet, because, I just, even in work and connecting with people in a different way, in a much more softer connection, I've been in corporate life all my life, but there've been a couple of instances, I think, in the last couple of years where, for me now, the important thing is when people acknowledge, thanks for being a nice bloke, thanks for helping, thanks for whatever. It's no longer about being this executive thing, but being part of a relationship and connection with people. And I think it just flows into all parts of your life, really, because I think, kind of as I said earlier, that when all of that latent stress that you don't even think is around is gone, you can really be who you're supposed to be.
Exactly.
And it flows into everything. But yeah, definitely, I think in family relationships, it just rolls and connects with everyone in a really positive way. It's been amazing.
Yeah, beautiful.
I think we can't, it has to be said that when you connect with someone, with your partner in the way that we've been taught by you, is, for me, I feel like I suddenly feel whole. And as a whole human being, to then go out into the world and people notice that. There's a certain level of confidence that I feel that I always thought I was very confident, and I think I was in almost not a false way, but slightly masked and forced. Because back in my mind, I kind of always felt like I'm not completely walking my talk as a naturopath, as someone who promotes wholeness, as all of that. And now that all is completely different for me, because and I think the same thing for Craig is, you put up this whole, it's a mask that everything is okay in your life, and things were not really okay, and now everything is okay. Those masks fall away, and this is what other people can notice that, and so when we interact with people out there, I think Craig can notice how people respond to me, and I notice how people respond to Craig. So, and I notice it in myself as well. There's something that has shifted, and I think that maybe I don't want to. Yeah, I think maybe there's an energetic change that people pick up. So it's really lovely. Well, I really like him too. I really like Craig. He's a really nice guy, and I like him more and more every day.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I think too, like what you're speaking to is authenticity, and like Craig, you saying when you're at work, you can be more you. You have that solidity inside. There's more of you showing up, and that's a beautiful thing. Also, I think there's not a word to it, but people feel love. But people feel the love emanating. That they might not go, oh, that's love, or their love, but there's a field that is created, as you're in this presence with each other, and that's I think what people feel.
Yeah, I think the word that comes to mind is authenticity, Janet. I think you be your authentic self, because you don't have to conceal or hide or
Mask.
pretend or mask. It's
Mm.
at home, we're authentic, we're honest, we talk, we connect, we're intimate, and it's authentic. And when you walk out of the house, you can continue to be authentic with other relationships and with other people you meet. So,
Yeah.
So freeing.
Beautiful.
it is.
Yeah.
It is.
There's so much freedom in that, which has always been a high value, and to be able to live that now. So authentically freeing, loving. It's just, for me personally, I just feel like I'm truly, truly coming into myself as a woman and as a person.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. And I love what I love, we'll go on to the SBS thing in a minute, but too, what I love about what you're saying too, I mean, coming into that you're in your 50s, you guys. I mean, we're coming into that elder time too, where, you're working or you're with younger people who can see and feel that and authenticity. And I think that's a service service to humanity, really.
Oh.
And that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. Which is why I really love that SBS contacted you to appear on Insight on the subject, which was, tell me the subject again.
Sex recession with a question
With a
mark.
question mark. Sex recession. And how did they come about to find you guys?
Yeah, so I got a phone call from SBS, one of their producers, and basically I believe that they found the article that either yourself, one of the articles that was in the magazine, or either one that you did in a newspaper. Anyway, they came across me. I still don't know how they got my phone number, but never mind.
They must have their ways.
Yeah, one shouldn't even ask this question anymore.
It's a government department.
Yes, right. Yeah.
Yes. And basically he just ran the idea of what they were talking about, the project Sex Recession, question mark, and asked if Craig and I would be interested in coming on the show and doing the recording. And then they actually also asked if we talk about sex with our children. I said, well, yeah, we're pretty open with our kids about things to a point, but we talk, especially our daughter, who's interested in sexuality, mental health, and that line of work. And so they actually invited her to come along on the show as well, which was wonderful, really.
Amazing.
So it was an interesting show with a lot of people from many different walks of life, old and young, straight and gay. Just talking about whether there is a sex recession. I can't wrap my tongue around that. Sex recession. And also whether it's influenced by technology. So quite an interesting topic. I don't know how much they actually ended up talking about technology, but yeah. So yeah, it's be interesting when the show comes out to sit down maybe with a glass of sherry and watch ourselves spill our guts about our sex life.
Yeah, well,
on
that was going to be
national
interesting.
TV.
Yes. I think it's very courageous and
Yes.
and yeah, so that's the 7th of July, 8:30, isn't it? Tuesday.
Yes, Tuesday night, SBS.
Yes, beautiful. And so what themes sort of came out of that, do you think, Craig?
Yeah, I think a lot of the initial part of the conversation was, where are people at and what's their experience around sex per se. But interestingly enough, the conversation ended up moving towards intimacy. And there was a general feeling and trend amongst a lot of the younger people in the audience that they don't have time for the sexual act.
Right.
Because they don't have time in their life for that. They've got groups of friends and they've got close relationships, and that's cool. And when you think about that in the context of, well, that kind of makes sense because then it's about intimacy. And if you have intimacy and connection in relationship, then it's not about the act. And I think that's kind of where we ended up in our conversation with them as well, is it's understanding that it's about the relationship and the intimacy of a relationship. And as you move on in life, and clearly it was kind of evident in younger people's lives as well. But again, it'll be interesting again to watch how it's edited and put together. But there was a definite commentary around people are desperately seeking intimacy
Yes, connection,
and connect.
like
Correct.
emotional
And I think,
connection.
Yeah.
correct. And I think that's where some of the technology comment is maybe we've become so disconnected through technology and way of life and speed of life that the intimacy has disappeared. And along with that, for some people, absolutely, sex, clearly. But when you do focus on an intimacy and an intimate connection and find that through close-knit relationships and groups of friends, and I think, our daughter commented to that as well. She's got a close group of friends around her, so she has that intimate relationship amongst her young people. But it became quite appropriate for us then to share around, for us, it's about being intimate and reconnecting with each other on an intimate level, and not about a sex recession.
Yeah.
But in fact, if you focus on intimate relationship, then it's not an issue. It's have the intimacy and the connection. And clearly, I think we were evidence in the audience that there is a way of having intimacy and a very close sexual relationship at any stage in life, not just later in life.
Yes,
But it's
exactly.
about learning what that looks like and understanding what comes with it.
I think one of the themes that came up, so I'm not interrupting you, am I?
No, please
No,
keep going. Yep.
one of the themes that came up was also that especially with dating, people who are not in relationships, that dating has become a bit of a tricky thing to navigate in today's world because of the Me Too movement. That it's kind of difficult for people to reach out. They don't have a relationship, but they want to have sex, or they want to have a connection, or they want to have what was evident that they want intimacy. But we haven't dated in I don't know 30,
in a few years.
30 I don't know, it's like 38 years or something we've been together. So but that's something that's difficult to navigate for younger people. But the one thing that I absolutely agree with Craig is that the theme that what was discovered on the show is that everybody wants intimacy and connection. An emotional intimacy, a connection through that. So and thank goodness we had the opportunity to share that for us, that through our sexual intimacy, we've created the loving connection and the intimacy that we're experiencing, that we talked about earlier. That just, we're in our bubble.
Yes,
and
that's right. Yeah.
And this is what the sexual intimacy has actually gifted us, is to feel that connection with one another.
Yeah.
It's an interesting show, Janet. Very interesting show with interesting people, and quite fascinating.
Yeah, I'm really curious to watch it. And it's this interface between emotional intimacy and sexual intimacy, because for you guys, you went through that threshold at the retreat of creating that emotional intimacy, creating that emotional connection. And I think this is where people trip up, is not knowing how to make that bridge from disconnection to connection, from, and it is that journey of creating that emotional connection through presence, and then the sexual connection can happen to that.
Oh, so true.
And I'm interested, I'd be very curious to hear about the young people, because when you said about the Me Too movement, I can imagine that creating an enormous amount of fear and almost terror, and trepidation in moving it, especially for young people. All the things around consent and coercive control and all these things that we didn't even know the words for back,
Exactly.
20, 30
Yeah.
years ago, even 10 years ago. And now it's really there. So I feel for younger people in that there's a certain amount of tension in that experience for them because as you were saying right at the beginning, Craig, and you said that young people are just looking for the intimacy and connection. My mind tweaked. I went, oh, I'm curious. Why is that? Is there something are they avoiding sexual intimacy? And there's probably the answer
I think
because it
that's
is
the
fraught
answer.
with so much. So
Yeah, I think it's tricky for young people to, from the show, and also from just, having conversations. It's just difficult for them to make, feel safe, I think, in dating and, and putting themselves out there. And
yeah,
unfortunately, this is the situation because where do they meet people? They meet people
exactly.
online.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then what, you go out for a drink, which maybe not.
Mm,
So yeah, I feel for them too. We've
mm.
got two young, well, they're not that young anymore, almost a 30-year-old and a 25-year-old daughter. And I feel for them.
Yes,
It's
yeah,
not easy.
yeah,
But
exactly.
hopefully we're setting the example for our children. And
Exactly
I
inspiring.
I love that you said, I never thought about it, but I love that you said we're doing a service. I'm going to tell my children we're doing a great service.
Well, I always
Being connected and intimate is a service to humanity.
it is.
Love that idea.
Change the world.
Yeah. Well, that's why I always say make love your priority, right?
And we
That's
sure
it.
do.
I will follow that instruction.
It has many connotations, many
We
layers.
we
Yeah.
do, we make love our priority.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's really important for us. We're in a really good are we in what's the word I want to use? Like my Afrikaans is coming through now. A routine. But a routine sounds wrong.
Yeah. You're in a rhythm.
We're in yes, thank you, the rhythm. We're in the flow.
Yeah, beautiful.
And we love it so much, and we understand the tentacle effect that our time that we spend together and commitment that we have to our daily dose of loving.
Yes.
We understand that has many wonderful follow-on effects, and we're not prepared to compromise on that, really. So, yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, we just keep going, keep going, and we're loving it.
Yeah.
It's very sweet, really.
So as you were responding to questions, what were there certain things you discovered or uncovered in that you were sort of surprised that came out in the discussion? What did you learn for yourself?
That's a tricky question for me right now. I don't have anything that comes to.
You might have already said it. You might have
Yeah, I think we've said it already. I think for me it was just a reconnection around the word of intimacy. A couple of years since we were on the retreat, I think it just highlighted for me that it is about the connection and the intimacy and not the act or the event of sex. And I think the more I listened to people talking about it, as Tess said, it was that there appears to be a lack of. And it's not a sex recession, it's an intimacy recession.
Yes. That's a very
And the
good
intimacy
point.
recession comes first, and then it's the sex recession.
Yes.
And I think, unfortunately, you see it every day and all around. I think there's literally a lack of intimacy and a lack of emotional connection and a lack of emotional intelligence, and there's a lack of just being aware of people around you. And I think we all just get into this routine of passing by everyone and being robotic in the way we operate. And I think that for me was an awareness, just listening. And again, it just highlighted, and we often talk about, the 5 days and what we learned on the different days. And we kind of go back to, 24, and that very first day when you told us to stand and look into each other's eyes.
Softly.
Yeah, and even now, I'll come back from work and I'm traveling often from Brisbane down to the coast. So I get an hour and a half to kind of get into the mood before I get home.
Yeah.
And this kind of reminds me, remember, leave work at work and home. But just to walk into the house together and look at each other and take a minute and be aware and be present and be intimate through connection and then a hug and contact.
Yeah.
But I think for me, that was what the show reminded me about. It was about that intimate connection that is so critically essential. And it's something I'll never take for granted again.
Yeah, I think Craig's absolutely nailed it. Yeah, it's about the intimacy.
Yeah, and it's interesting, I'd love that. Thank you so much. I just love so many good things that you said there. Intimacy, we think is sex or sexual intimacy. So this is kind of a reframing of the word intimacy, isn't it? And what I'm hearing you say, and what I always say, create the emotional connection first before we move to, so the intimacy that you're speaking of as a definition really is creating that emotional connection.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And that was always,
and the simple tools for it is, they're right there and they don't take long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's so beautiful, when we were on the retreat to learn those tools, the keys so quickly, and so you've just scaffolded for us so well, and to be able to then go put those things into practice. We jumped in. We just said, we want to get our money's worth, and so
right. Don't waste any time here.
And we committed right from the beginning, and we still do those things. It's because nobody teaches you through life. We met when we were 18. Nobody has taught us how to connect intimately.
Yeah.
Right? It's not something that happens. We don't go to intimacy school or connection school.
Yeah.
And so at mid-50s, actually just learn a few simple tools, a few simple things. And I think one of the things that was really so important for me is to stop looking at Craig with an expectation.
Yeah.
That was so powerful for me to learn to soften just eye contact, to soften that and just be present without any expectation. Not where are you? What are you thinking? It's got nothing to do with him. When I look, I receive.
Yeah.
And that was probably that was the most powerful thing for me, which we still do now. It's like just soften and no expectations. So I don't know how we got here, but
so beautiful.
Just flowing with the conversation.
That's
anyway.
okay. Yeah.
That for me creates that intimacy is immediately is the no expectation and just saying I'm here.
Yeah.
You're here with me. We're here. We're right here right now.
Yeah.
And immediately it's like immediately my body responds.
Exactly. Yes. That's right.
Powerful.
And I think you're just talking to the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
A presence, really.
Yeah.
And you're South African. I have to think of Diana Richardson, who created the Making Love Retreat, being South African and what she's brought into the world.
Yes.
I can't help but feel grateful for that gift that keeps flowing on across the world now.
Yes.
So that's beautiful.
No, beautiful.
Well,
thanks, Diana.
yes. So anything else that you'd love to add? It must have been must have been quite curious and warming to have your daughter there
yes.
and was it a little uncomfortable? Was it,
no, I'll just speak very shortly so you can speak more if you like, Craig. Our daughter is a special little thing, as all parents will probably tell you about their daughters. She's very interested in mental health, emotional health, health as a whole, which
Mm.
includes sexuality and, sexual health. So we always knew that it was going to be an interesting conversation. But when she spoke, wow, she actually blew us away with her level of emotional maturity. Our daughter's 24.
Mm.
Her emotional maturity, her thought process, the way that she handled herself, and the contribution that she made. And of course, there was maybe a little surprise in there, and which we had a conversation about afterwards in a very beautiful way. And my daughter and I, Craig, had a work, morning the next morning, but Janae and I could actually have a lovely breakfast conversation. And unbeknownst to us, one of the other people who were on the show was sitting at the table next to us while we were having this conversation debrief about
Right.
revelations that
Okay.
had happened on the show. And he jumped in and he sort of peeked around. He said, "Oh," he said, how absolutely impressed he was to hear a mother and daughter talk so freely about conversations that he could not ever imagine in his life. And he was a younger man, that he could never imagine having with his family. So I actually got a bit of a buzz out of that, because I think that's so important to have these conversations with the younger generation and offer that service to our children,
Exactly. Yeah. And know how to have intelligent conversations with our children.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
And that's a credit to you.
I think, yeah. What do you think about?
No, I've got nothing more to add to that. I think it's just, it brings a strong connection, or a stronger connection in a different way and on a different level with kids or with our children. And clearly both of them have commented about what they've seen in us over the last 2 years and changes they've felt or picked up, all in a positive way. So I think if we can in any way diffuse our learning across through to them, then fantastic.
Yeah,
It's part of the journey.
beautiful.
But yeah, it was good.
Well, it's going to be diffused across national TV. And I have to say how wonderful it is. And I, do have to just quietly acknowledge SBS Insight for this, who had Julie and Con in 2023 as well, and myself, and also another woman, lovely Natalie from Yeppoon in Queensland, who appeared also a couple of months later. So, it's lovely that there's representatives of the Making Love Retreat,
Yes,
reaching reaching
far and wide
people, which is so it warms my heart deeply. So
yeah,
very happy. Yeah,
absolutely.
thank you.
So
Well,
there we are.
we'll finish it there, and I just want to say thank you so much for your time, and I'm just so incredibly grateful. And you are shining stars, just as people, and it's I think it's just an inspiration for many to know what's possible.
Thank you, Janet, and same to you. And for people who are watching this, I forgot that we're actually recording, but I've just remembered. For people who are actually watching this, for women, maybe, I don't know what age you want to be, but whatever. If you're my age, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. Younger women, couples, we cannot encourage you enough to attend a Making Love retreat or connect with Janet. It will be absolutely life-changing. Sell a car,
Yeah.
sell a kid, do something, but yeah, go learn how to connect with emotional and, with intimacy and create something wonderful in your relationship. And your relationship, older relationships, doesn't matter. It's the keys are there for everyone, and Janet's teachings are amazing. Sorry, Janet, I had to give you a plug there.
Thank you, lovely. Well, I'm very grateful. I remember Julie from Julie and Con saying, going to the retreat is much cheaper than a divorce. So
Yes. Very true.
Anyway,
All right.
Fantastic.
So thank you so much. I'm just
Thank
incredibly
you.
grateful. So if you want to watch the show, SBS Insight on SBS, obviously, on July the 7th, it's a Tuesday, July the 7th at 8:30 p.m. And you'll get the whole episode of that on that subject called Sex Recession. I think some very interesting material came out of that discussion with Tess and Craig, and I look forward to seeing that episode. Of course, if you can't see it on that evening at 8:30, 7th on Tuesday, 7th of July, you can always catch up on it on SBS On Demand. And anyone who's out of Australia can go on to SBS On Demand and sign in and create an account. And there are lots of Insight channels or Insight episodes. And the one where I was on with Julie and Con, that is March 2023. That was called Midlife Sexual Awakenings. And then there was another one in, I think, April or May, where another graduate from the Making Love Retreat, Natalie, was on as well. So I love that SBS is creating this conversation. And I really love that some of the couples who've come to the Making Love Retreat who felt very affected by it have chosen to go on and speak up. And I think this is a really big, courageous and generous thing to do for humanity, for us, for everybody. And I think it's something that gives hope for where some people have lost a lot of hope when it comes to relationships, and especially when it comes to the last 5 years or 6 years since COVID. There's been a lot of stress for everybody, and there is a pathway back to creating a much more relaxed connection and intimacy. So watch the show, come to the Making Love Retreat if that calls you, or just have a look on my website and see there's a lot of material there that you can get for free. Okay, take care.